The man who had collided with him swung around sharply and said, "What the hell? Are you talking to me, you damn popinjay?" It was true that the stranger was well dressed, making the comparison to a bird's gaudy plumage an apt one. He wore a tight-legged brown tweed suit over a tweed vest, a white shirt, and a silk cravat. The tweed cap he wore came to a sharp point in front and sported a green feather in the band. Such dandies were seldom seen in red minds. On the other hand, the man who had run into him was exactly the sort of customer usually found in the tavern. He was a riverman, dressed in canvas trousers, a homespun shirt, heavy work shoes, and a felt hat with a broad, floppy brim. The muscles of his arms, chest, and shoulders stretched the shirt's fabric. His face was scarred and craggy with plenty of souvenirs from bare-knuckle brawls in the past. Two men of the same type stood behind him, grinning as if they knew what was about to happen. Preacher had a pretty good idea his own self. The foreign stranger said, "I'd merely request that you pay a bit more attention to where you're going, my friend. You almost knocked me down. If I'd had a drink in my hand, I almost certainly would have spilled it." The riverman poked a long, blunt finger against the stranger's chest with enough force to make him take a step back. "You're the one who damn well needs to watch where he's going. This is a place where men come to drink." "I assure you, sir, I am indeed a man." The riverman let out a contemptuous snort. "Couldn't prove it by me," he said. "Dressed so fancy and looking so purty, I think you're really a gal." The stranger's jaw tightened. "I'll thank you not to impugn my masculinity, sir." The riverman poked him in the chest again and said, "I'll impugn whatever the hell I want to." He glanced at his friends and added, "What the hell does impugn mean?" Neither of them appeared to have a clue. Preacher had been watching this byplay with only mild interest as he sipped the rest of his beer. He might have stepped in before now, because he didn't much cotton to rivermen. Too many of them were bullies, and this fella seemed to fit that mold. But he didn't owe the foreigner anything and hadn't invited the fella to talk to him. The gent was on his own. Although Preacher did sort of have to admire the way he was standing up to a varmint who was half a head taller and probably 60 pounds heavier. No fear showed in the stranger's pale blue eyes. Red Mike took a hand, leaning on the bar and saying to the riverman, "I don't want no trouble in here, Kennedy." "Then you hadn't ought to let pesky little gadflies like this come in here." Kennedy shot back, "And don't go telling me you don't want trouble. There's a brawl in this tavern 2 or 3 times a week." "Maybe so, but that don't mean I have to like it." The stranger turned back to Preacher and said, "Perhaps we could adjourn to one of the tables, and I could explain more about the proposition I'd like for you to consider." "Done told you already. I ain't taking the job," Preacher said. With a scowl twisting his face, Kennedy clamped a hand on the stranger's shoulder and said, "Don't turn your back on me when I'm talking to you, you little—" Clearly he was about to add some obscenities that would have turned the air in the tavern blue, but he didn't get the chance to spew that venom. The stranger turned swiftly, said, "Take your hands off me, sir," and punched him in the nose. Chapter 2. Kennedy's head rocked back slightly. His eyes widened. He looked more surprised than hurt, even though a little blood leaked from his left nostril. He recovered quickly from the shock of being struck and said, "Why, you—" He didn't finish that curse either, because he was too busy swinging a big knobby-knuckled fist at the stranger. The man ducked the blow with apparent ease. Kennedy wasn't very fast. As the stranger came back up, he peppered 2 more punches, a left and a right, to the riverman's nose. Blood actually spurted this time. Kennedy howled. Whether from anger or pain, or both, Preacher couldn't tell. The riverman lunged at the stranger, evidently intending to grab him in a bear hug and crush him until his ribs cracked. The stranger twisted out of the way, snatched Kennedy's hat off his head, and whipped it across his face a couple of times. Being